review for our Chapter 6 quiz. What is the solution to the system of equations? Well, how can we actually solve this? There are three different methods that we learned, right? What are those three methods? What's the first one you remember? What was the first one we did? The easy one that used your calculators. It was the graphing. So we can solve by graphing, either on paper or using the calculator. What was the next way we learned? That I told you was my personal favorite. I did this one all the time. That's right, it was substitution. And what was the last way we could do it? Do you guys remember this one? It was elimination. So we have these three different methods that we can use to solve a system of equations. And I look at this first one up here. I have x plus y equals 4 and x minus y equals 6. Which of these three methods would probably be the easiest one to use? I think elimination is probably going to be the easiest one to use. So let's try that. So I look and I see that I have a plus and a minus in front of my y, and my y coefficient is 1 in both places. So I'm good to go. I can just go ahead and add these two equations together as they are. So I have x plus x, and that gives me a 2x. A positive y and a negative y, I'm going to get a 0y, they go away. And then I have 4 plus 6, and I get 10. So I get that 2x is equal to 10, which means x is going to equal 5. Well, now I need to just plug that back into one of the equations. Whichever one you want to do is fine by me. I'm going to plug it in the top one. It looks easier. So I'm going to plug in a 5 for an x plus y is equal to 4. Well, I need to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and I get that y is equal to a negative 1. So what's my actual solution here? I'm not done quite yet. What's my solution? I get an ordered pair of 5, negative 1. How do I check my work for this one? You guys remember? Plug it back into both equations to make sure that it holds true. I'm not going to waste your time with this right now because I've got more important things to do because we got more problems to do. However, you should be doing this when you take your quiz, so don't forget to check your work. All right, let's move on to the next one. I have 2x minus y equals 5 and x minus y equals 4. Which method do you think would be easiest for this one? You could do elimination, or you could do substitution, or you could do graphing. You just have, either way, you have to rearrange and do a little something. But I'm probably going to choose elimination for this one because I see that my y's both have the implied 1 here, so they're the same number, but they're both negative. So I just need to multiply one of them by a negative 1 to get it to be positive. Which one do you want to multiply by? Well, I'm going to go for the bottom one. It looks simpler. Aren't as many numbers there. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to rewrite it as a negative 1 times x minus y is equal to a negative 1 times the 4. And I do my distribution, and I get that negative x plus y is equal to a negative 4. Okay, well, to make it easier, I'm going to rewrite the problem over here so that I had 2x minus y is equal to 5. And I'm going to bring this up over so that I get a negative x plus y is equal to a negative 4. Well, now I can just add my two equations together. 2x minus x, I'm going to get x. My y's are going to cancel. And 5 plus a negative 4 is 1. So my x value is 1. Now I need to take that and plug it back in. Again, the bottom equation looks easier to me, so I'm going to plug it in there. But if you want to plug it into the top one, that's fine. It'll still work. So I'm going to plug in a 1 for my x. So I have 1 minus y is equal to 4. And again, I'm trying to get y all by itself, so I need to subtract 1 from both sides. And I get that a negative y is equal to 3. Don't forget that there was that negative symbol in front of the y. That comes down as well. But I wasn't looking for a negative y. I need to get y really all by itself. I have to get rid of this 1. So you can either multiply by a -1 or divide by a -1. And you get that y is equal to a -3. But again, I'm not done. I'm looking for an ordered pair. So in this case, my answer is 1, -3. All right, last one on this slide. I have x is equal to 2y plus 3, and 4x minus 5y equals 9. Which method should we use here? Remember, we have substitution, we have elimination, we have graphing. What do you think would be best? Well, I already have an x all by itself over here, so to me that just screams, do substitution, it's the easiest. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this whole piece, and I'm going to substitute it in right here for that x. So I have 4 times 2y plus 3 is minus 5y is equal to a 9. Let's make a little more room here so we can see what's going on. All right, now I need to distribute that 4 so that I get an 8y plus 12 minus 5y is equal to 9. Well, now it's just a multi-step equation that I need to solve for y. I've already gotten rid of my parentheses. That was my step 1. Step 2 for multi-step is to combine like terms. So I have an 8y and I have a -5y. If I combine those, what do I get? I get 3y, and then everybody else just falls down. I need y by itself, so I need to add or subtract to get rid of this 12. Am I going to add or am I going to subtract? It's positive. I need to do the opposite, so I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I'm going to get that 3y is equal to a -3. And again, I need y by itself completely, so I'm going to divide everybody by 3 to get that y is equal to a -1. Well, that's fantastic. I have y. Now I need to figure out what x is. So I got to plug it in. Just so happens that first one already has x equals, so that's the one I'm going to plug it into. So that I get that x is equal to 2 times y, which we already know is a -1, plus 3. Well, 2 times -1 is -2 plus 3, and I get 1. So x is equal to 1. Y was -1, so my solution is 1, -1.
Anytime a question asks me to find the solution to the system of equations, I know my answer can be one of 3 things. If the 2 lines intersect, there is one solution, and that one solution appears where the two intersect, and it is your x, y coordinate ordered pair. If we graph the lines and they are parallel, which means we know they won't touch, our answer is no solution. If we graph them and they appear and they end up being the exact same line, like they're literally the same exact line, they fall on top of each other, we have infinitely many solutions, or all reals. Now, we notice that this problem wants to know the solution, and we can see clearly these two are touching. So our goal is to figure out what is this ordered pair. Now, I'll put a nice little dot there, and then I'll go find it. Now, it's not exactly on like a little crisscross, so it's going to have a decimal, which is okay. So if I start at the origin, I'm going to go left 1 and about 1/2, and then down about 4 1/2. So I would say if I went left 1 1/2, and then I went down maybe 4 1/2. Or you could write that -1.5 and -4.5. Hopefully on a problem like this, if it was multiple choice, you'd be able to clearly figure out what the next answer was.
82 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I wish it was 82 out now. It's too cold. Anywho, she knows that F is equal to 9/5 C plus 32, where F represents the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit and C represents the temperature in degrees Celsius. Which is closest to the temperature outside in degrees Celsius? Well, let's read that again, because remember, if we're doing a word problem, it takes a couple times before we can actually get to the answer. So again, Kristen heard that it is 82 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So can we write that as an equation? Well, she knows that the Fahrenheit temperature is 82 degrees. All right? She also knows that F is equal to 9/5 C plus 32. Well, they just gave you a whole entire equation right there, so let's just copy it down. F is equal to 9/5 C plus 32. And I come down here, and they're trying to say, what is closest to the temperature outside in degrees Celsius? So I'm really trying to find the Celsius degrees here. I look at this system of equations, and what would be the easiest way to solve this one? You should all be screaming, substitution! So I'm going to take my 82, and I'm going to put it right there where that F is. So that I get that 82 is equal to 9/5 C plus 32. Well, again, what am I trying to solve for? I'm trying to solve for C, so I need to take that 32 and move it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides, and I get that 50 is equal to 9/5C. Do you guys remember how to get rid of a leading coefficient that's a fraction? What do I need to do? Remember? Awesome! You remembered something. I taught you something. Yay! We have to multiply by the reciprocal. So I am going to multiply both sides of the equation by 5/9. Okay? Well, on this side, those are just going to cancel, and I'm left with C. And on the other side, I get that 50 times 5/9 is equal to, it's an ugly decimal, just deal with it. It's 27.7 repeating. Okay? So again, an estimate, they wanted to know which is closest, so this is probably going to be like a multiple choice question, and I'm looking for the answer that looks closest to 27.7.
Problem. I know you guys love these tremendously. I want you to pause the video. I want you to read this word problem a minimum of 3 times. So pause it, read it 3 times. Okay, now that you've read it at least 3 times, maybe more if you needed to, let's talk about what we know. We know we're buying 2 types of tickets. We're buying adult tickets and we're buying student tickets. Okay? When you read the problem, they talked about using A for adult and then using S for student. Now, we get a little bit nervous with S because it looks like a 5, so just be real careful that you recognize your S's are not 5s and there are variable. So we'll try to be real good about that. Okay, so we know if we have so many adult tickets plus so many student tickets, if we add all those tickets together, the problem should have told you how many tickets we actually bought. So if we take all the tickets, put them in a pile, all the adult ones, add to it all the student ones, how many tickets did we buy? Okay? We bought 9 tickets. Okay? So Mr. Steele purchased 9 tickets. So we know all the tickets, adult plus student, will equal 9. Okay? So that takes care of that information. We know that he spent $31. So if we take the amount of money for the adult tickets and the amount of money for the student tickets and add them together, we'll get $31. So we know if we add up the amount of money, we're going to get $31. Well, how much did each adult ticket cost? Each adult ticket costs $4. So $4 for every adult ticket plus $3 for every student ticket. If we add that amount together, that'll give us $31 here for that price of the ticket. Now, this is our system of equations. Now you have a choice. How am I going to solve this? Well, when I look at a problem like this and I don't see a coefficient here or here, it makes sense for me to go ahead and maybe solve this for either A or S and substitute it in for the A or the S here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up here and solve it for A. So I have this equation, A plus S equals 9. If I solve it for A, I'd subtract the S from both sides. A is going to equal, now remember, these are not like terms, so it's 9 minus S. Now, I'm going to take that A value and I'm going to come over here and put it in A's place. So I have 4A plus 3S equals 31. But I know A is the equivalent of 9 minus S. So I'm going to now solve this using the distributive property. That gives me 36 minus 4S plus 3S equals 31. Okay, go ahead and finish solving this for S and start it back, pause it, and start it back. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to combine like terms here. So we have 36 minus 1S equals 31. We're going to subtract 36 from both sides. We'll get negative S equals negative 5. Because there's a negative, 1 in front of here, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1, and I'll get S to be 5. So then I know that I bought 5 student tickets. Okay? I'm going to then plug that back up into here and figure out how many adult tickets I bought. So it's adult plus student equals 9 tickets. Adult plus, I brought 5, how ironic is that? They look the same now. Equals 9, which means the amount of adult tickets will be 4. I subtract 5 from both sides, and adult tickets is 4. So to answer this question, how many adult tickets, how many student tickets he purchased? 5 student, 4 adult.